Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody? Welcome to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Today is going to be a follow up from yesterday's hearing.
Good morning. Good morning.
How is everybody? Richard Allen. Welcome to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Today is going to be a follow up from. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of echo on my end. Vertigo, good to see you. Metal Mama. Yeah, it is getting hotter here in Phoenix. And I think there's something wrong with my AC. I think it's might need to be recharged or something. True crime housewife. If he doesn't want the death penalty, then he will. Then he will confess. I don't know what that means. Saying if he doesn't confess, he'll get the death penalty. I don't know if he can get the death penalty for the charge that he has. Chandler says I cannot look at his wife the same way. If he confessed, no one should stand with him. She deserves any hate she gets now, in my opinion. Well, we're going to talk about that. There's all kinds of confessions. There's false confessions. There's confessions under duress. I don't think we're in a position to determine that. You know, we're not doctors. We're not psychologists. We don't know how to make that determination. Not, and even if we were qualified to do something like that, we don't have the information from where we're standing to do that. So, I mean, it just seems like you're quick to, I don't know, off with his head and throw her in the mix with him, And that's why jury trials are so scary, because you got people like Chandler who have already made up their mind. And I'm not saying that's bad, Chandler. That's your right. You know what I mean? If that's how you feel, that's fine. That's your opinion. You have no obligation to make sure things are fair. But the courtroom does. And they're going to argue for Richard Allen. And we're going to go. I pulled up some interesting things from websites. All these lawyers, they put out their websites out there, and they put a ton of information. So I just grabbed everything on false confessions, and it's going to be a short live stream, but I think we'll have a good conversation about that. We'll play a little devil's advocate. Rory, Heather, good to see you. Spudster, people have to be competent to go to trial so they understand and acknowledge what is happening. It's part of the process. Yep, I agree with that. And the burden to prove that he's competent is not on the prosecution. The defense has to prove that he was incompetent. Yeah, if you look at the image on the left, that was his previous visit to Delphi, and the one on the right is his most recent. Base Girl, what's up? Good to see you, Vertigo. Carol says he looks very bad, and is he capable of any decision making? I don't know. But I'm not going to be fooled by what I see. I mean, it would be easy for him to just be playing a part, looking all pathetic, like, oh, where am I? Who are you? I mean, it's me, it's your wife. Who? Just playing stupid. It'd be very easy. Because people are easily manipulated. Not everybody, but a large portion of the human population is very easily manipulated. You just pull out those emotional strings. Very easy. Base Girl says, I think the defense is totally setting the stage for an insanity plea. They could be. And if they can prove it, fine. You know, if there's something going on, we don't want any kind of weird confessions. Spudster, Base Girl, the insanity plea has to go through psychiatrist. They know all the games and are not easy to fool. It won't work. Yeah, if it's fake, it won't work. Do you guys remember? Well, I don't want to change. We'll get into that another time. Don't worry. Just disregard that. Hey, Jill. Teresa, good to see you. You have a great day. What's up, Nate? Good morning, Jody. What up, Railroad? True Crime Housewife, good morning. Hey, Melissa. Hi, Beth. Good morning, Hybrid. Think he's going to make a deal? So do I. I think he's done hiding. I'm in MS and the power is out at the... What the hell? Why is the power out? Good morning. Beth Gonzalez says, I see a competency hearing in the making. What's up, hippie? Vertigo says she doesn't deserve hate. She is innocent as much as a victim as anyone in this. Well, that I don't know. She could be complicit for all I know. But that's the thing. I don't know. So I don't bother with it. I think we'll find that answer hopefully soon enough. Hey, Miss Persevere. Bossy, good to see you guys. Teresa, if he dies before trial, we'll never get answers. That would be the worst case scenario. And I read also that the prosecutor basically said the same thing. Like, if we move him, we're going to make it very similar to the situation that he's in now because we have to protect him. I don't know. If my name wasn't out there and I was part of this crime and I knew that this guy was about to snitch on me, I think I would try to find a way to get at him. You know, I don't think that's beyond a criminal who might have connections in Carroll County. Shit, for all we know, he works at that prison. This dude worked at the CVS. Jimmy Gale Kunis, his wife knew that was him on the bridge. I agree with that. How could she not? I would know if that was my husband. Well, the thing is that Richard Allen didn't deny it. That's the crazy part about it. She knew he was there, and so did a conservation officer that he reported that to. So it wasn't a secret. I feel like she was given every opportunity to go down that denial road. Oh, we're not interested in this guy. We want to know what he saw. That's what they said the first couple days. Oh, well, now this guy is a suspect. Well, if he's a suspect, why didn't you arrest him? You know that my husband came forward and told you that was him. And then they come out with the new sketch, right? And in the bulletin, they say, we're no longer interested in, this person that the older looking sketch represented. Okay, well, that was obviously Richard Allen, right? Guy on the bridge. Gail McCauley, I think they should work with his wife, Kathy, to get him to confess. Maybe she would have the best chance to end this finally. And I think she may have. There's been some new information that nobody's talked about. It was just released this morning on Wish, Channel 8 Wish. I watched the Murder Sheet podcast first thing when I woke up this morning. They had no clue where the information was coming from as far as these admissions of guilt. They were speculating. So apparently they didn't discuss that in the courtroom. But journalists have gotten the answers on that. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to play a little devil's advocate and see what the defense how they might approach getting these admissions thrown out. Hey, Susie. Defense might go confession under duress. That's what I'm thinking. And everything I read about it is basically what they've been foreshadowing, and they've been kind of setting the stage for that, is what it looks like. Kimberly, excited not to be on replay crew for once. Laugh out loud. Been a busy summer. I agree. Good to see you, Beth. Kimberly. Good morning, V. Maria. Robin. Good morning on this wonderful Friday. Hey, Miss Persevere. I hope you can make me feel a little better about this mess today because I'm in my feelings this morning. I don't know if I'm going to help. I don't think it's a slam dunk. I think that the defense, they may be able to get this thrown out. I think it's possible for them. But it really depends. You know, I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't know what to look for. And there's been some really good fakes out there, you know. People acting like they got multiple personalities, spending the time in prison to read about it, reading about the signs, and then doing their best to mimic it. And then there's some people that appear to be mimicking it, trying to do their best impression of somebody with multiple personality disorder, but in fact, they actually have it. Good morning, Steffa. Good to see you. Bossy says Richard Allen is a chameleon. Look at how well he changed his appearance from 2016 until his arrest. Yeah, if you look at, and that's why I kind of picked all these images. He doesn't even look like the same person. If you look at the images I selected, he's different in every one. Like you can line up all these guys in a lineup and you'd be like, I don't know who the hell this is. Well, it's the same person. Hey, Danielle. I agree. Great actors. And they've been doing it their whole life. It's come easy for them. Phony Pin says this may not be popular, but I believe he is giving performance of a lifetime. And I'm not sure. But that's what I think. Especially after watching the last time he came to court. You know, he kind of had the strut as he was coming out of that back room, not knowing that the cameras were zoomed all the way in there. And he came out and he had like this weird little, he had an energy about him. And then the second he walks out that door, he like changed his facial expression. It didn't seem natural. So we'll leave it to the professionals to determine whether or not he's faking. I believe that it's in his best interest to try to fake something like that and play along, if it's his only hope. Defense needs to shave that goatee. He needs I don't think they want to shave the goatee. It plays into the whole, look at me, I'm pathetic and out of my mind. They're mistreating me. I'm under duress, look. You know, that's what he's going for. Spy Guy says his new look is nothing more than I'm screwed. Hey, Tracy. He lived remorse-free for 5 years. This is normal lawyer tactics. I agree. I mean, he doesn't want to go to prison. I think once he realizes that that's what's in his cards, he'll start talking. Jimmy says they need to put him in our local jail. Let him get what he deserves. I don't think that would be very good for the case. Family needs answers. And it's up to Richard Allen to provide those answers. He has one final act. What's it going to be? Are you going to show remorse? Or are you going to play the game all the way to the bitter end? Vertigo says even if he is insane, he will never see the light of day again. I don't know. They still have to prove that he committed this crime or took part. And if he's over here confessing, under duress, that's not good. It's not good for the case. C says if KK is involved, he must be overjoyed Richard Allen is going down. KK will never admit he knows Richard Allen. I don't think Richard Allen will talk, but after conviction appeals, KK will deny knowing him. I don't know. He may have already admitted to knowing him. We know that TK went to school with him. Well, at least it appears that way. I don't know for sure. We're still looking for yearbook. We know they did go to school together, but that doesn't mean that they know each other. But from people that went to school with them, they said they all hung out on 2nd Street together. A couple years apart, even Kathy. 2nd Street in Peru. Good morning, Kevin. Chopper, what up? Baby doll. Hey, Wanda, good to see you. I don't know. They would have to prove it. If he's not talking, they don't know. And I don't know if she's complicit. Like I said, they gave her every out, every opportunity to deny that your husband committed this crime. I feel like investigators gave her. Hey, William, good to see you. Kevin, yeah, we'll do a quick recap right now. Plus, there's been some updated information, and I haven't seen anybody else talking about it. So I'll go ahead and share it with you guys right now. Okay, this is local to Indiana, Wish TV 8. This article is by Greg Montgomery. It was released this morning. All right. So Delphi prosecutors in court Thursday revealed that suspect Richard Allen had confessed multiple times while incarcerated to the February 2017 murders of 2 teen girls in Delphi. The defense lawyers said the confession came as Allen suffered inhumane treatment at a maximum security prison. Allen's attorneys argue the confessions are invalid and were prompted only by his declining mental health because of his conditions in prison. Richard Allen, 50, of Delphi, was arrested on October 28th for the February 2017 murders of 13-year-old Abigail Abby Williams and 14-year-old Liberty Libby German near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi. Their bodies were found February 14th, 2017, in a rugged, heavily wooded area near the trail. Allen, on October 31st, pleaded not guilty in his initial court hearing. When Allen entered the courtroom Thursday, he barely made eye contact with his two members of his family who were sitting in the front row. I think that was Janice, one of his blood relatives, if not his mother, and his wife, Kathy, I believe. Allen also showed little emotion Thursday when Carroll County prosecutor Nicholas McClelland said in court that Allen had confessed. Allen has been in the Indiana Department of Corrections Westville Correctional Facility since November of 2022. The state prison is in northern Indiana, about halfway between the cities of LaPorte and Valparaiso. In the courtroom Thursday, onlookers learned Allen has an electronic tablet to make phone calls from his prison cell, and the calls are monitored. In those calls, the prosecution said Allen confessed 5 or 6 times to the murder of the girls. So that's the part I wanted to focus on here. We'll come back to that. So that was new information for me. After the court hearing, Allen on Thursday left the Carroll County Courthouse with his feet shackled and his arms tied together by a steel lock. At the state prison, Allen is on, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, watch, which means that a guard is outside of his prison cell around the clock. The warden at Westville facility said Thursday that his staff noticed a sharp decline in Allen's mental health several months ago. Law enforcement officers and the warden on Thursday also testified Allen's treatment was no different than other inmates. Decisions about Allen's living situation were made to protect his safety, the law enforcement officer said, as they believe he could be a target of other inmates because of the case involves children. Moving him to a new local facility could endanger him, as well as put additional burdens on staff, said Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett. Allen's attorney said they believe his physical and mental health are in rapid decline. McClelland said he doubted whether changing facilities would benefit Allen, questioning whether it would be any different. As officials testified, steps would still be taken to ensure Allen's security. So it would basically be the same thing, just easier on the defense team. Goal has kept much of the case out of the public's view. However, on Thursday, she said she will make some documents public in the next week in response to a motion from Kevin Greenlee, the co-host of the podcast The Murder Sheet. Shout out to Kevin Greenlee. Also on Thursday, the judge delayed a portion of the hearing regarding a request by Allen's attorneys to block some evidence from the case. So I think what we're going to focus on here is the mention of when and where Allen made these damning statements. It says here in a courtroom Thursday, onlookers learned Allen has an electronic tablet to make phone calls from his prison cell, and the calls are monitored. In those calls, the prosecution said Allen confessed 5 or 6 times to the murders of the girls. So it doesn't look like he was confessing to another inmate. He was making phone calls, maybe to his family, and telling them, yeah, I did this. Carol says, could he be having withdrawals from cigarettes and alcohol and being medicated? Something has changed physically while being arrested. Well, there's mentions of a food strike. But it's almost like he's, they say he ate that morning from some reports that I read. So he's on hunger strike, most likely just appear like he's sick, you know? I mean, this isn't rocket science. This is something convicts and people facing life in prison have done for a long time. The insanity plea. Bossy says, see now, he looks like he did in that video from his wife. Richard Allen is just back to his normal weight now. He's planned this scenario over the years. Yeah, he had plenty of time to concoct a plan, really. Like, what am I going to do when this happens? Well, I'll take this approach. He had plenty of time to work those out. Teresa says, Sleuth, do you think he is medicated? I'm not sure. Jimmy says they were asking if anyone knew who that man was in the video. Wife didn't come forward. She didn't. She was in denial. I don't know. Why should she come forward? If she knows that her husband came forward and knows that he's been, that he wasn't charged or he's not considered a suspect, there really is no reason for her to come forward. It would be easy for her to say there's just some kind of confusion going on here. Kimberly says, at this point, I'm 100% convinced she knows he's guilty. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes with his wife and investigators. Maybe making excuses to herself that it's not the real him. Yeah, it could be that as well. I mean, either way, her life has changed. Her life as she knew it is over. This is a new life with a new stigma. Sounds like fun, Vertigo. He has the right to be evaluated. That is the only way we will know if he is faking it or if it's a real issue. Let the psychiatrist determine that. Thank you, Spudster. Great comment. He looks like a beaten down man. He looks ill. Well, I think if he's faking it, I think that's the intended goal. Look at me. I'm pathetic. I need your sympathy. I mean, you have some people that will marry these killers, let alone just show a little sympathy. We live in a really messed up world. You got people right now that are trying to get Richard Allen off. They're literally sending information to the defense team trying to help Richard Allen. And these are people that you talk to on YouTube. These are people that are guests on Court TV. Like, this is a huge group of people that are really trying to help this guy, Richard Allen, get off. Now, if that's not sick. So, Twilight Zone. Hey, Glitter. Hey, Michelle. Sleuth, that's what I'm afraid of. And I'm so pissed about how this has been handled. There's so many ways he can be let off on a technicality if he's guilty. I think they seem to be being careful about all that. William says, I got a warning last month for commenting about a queen of Arkansas, so I've been lurking in the shadows. The Queen of Arkansas? Who gave you a warning? Don't forget, you can always come to me directly if you have any issues. Gail says, in my opinion, he's not faking all the mental duress, but may play on it for sympathy. Yeah, and the duress, it may just be a representation of his guilt, his worst fears being realized. He's had 5.5 years, to think about how he threw his life away by destroying those 2 lives. So he's had plenty of time to think about it. And then if you've gone free for 5.5 years, you're like, well, maybe I actually got away with this. Chopper says he ain't got the balls to be off himself. Honestly, I don't care what he does after the trial. Bobby says he's a manipulator. I think so as well. And we don't know anything about his past life. There's rumors of him being adopted, and he could have had a really tough childhood. And he, for all we know, that could play into why he did what he did. Yeah, in LA they had what was it? I can't remember what they named him in the 70s. I think it was the Freeway Killer. Yeah, it was I think it was a Freeway Killer. But he was picking. He's basically the killer that made everybody afraid to hitchhike. He would pick up young men because he was abused by young men and sodomized as a child. Because he was basically given up to the orphanage and the Catholic Church, and we all know those rumors. No disrespect to Catholics out there, but even what the rumors and the stories that come out of that, that kind of atmosphere. So he basically ended up with like multiple personalities because of it. Same goes for what is it, that Hillside Strangler? Man, California has some really bad serial killers. Something's in that water. Jimmy says, or excuse me, I went to the bridge and would never walk it. Where the girls apparently crossed the creek, it was very shallow there. I believe that is where the shoe was found. Yeah, I think so. Bullish in Seattle. He's trying to get off the death penalty. Well, the way he's charged, he wouldn't face the death penalty. But if he's going to confess, they can definitely change those charges. Right now, they just know he's the guy on the bridge with the gun saying, go down the hill or get down the hill or whatever. Guys, down the hill. They know he's that guy. It would be probably the biggest coincidence in the history of mankind if he attempted to kidnap them and then just decided, oh, well, I'm not going to, sorry about that. We're all good now. I didn't mean to bring you down here, and then walk away from the crime. And then some other madman shows up and completes the murder. That didn't happen. Hey, Shimona. CJ, what's up? I believe it's all an act. We can all do it, and many will get away with it. Sadly, the professionals will have different opinions. They're paid professionals. Hey, Miss Molly. I wonder if you ever took meds for any mental condition. Let me see. I think I have a story here. Somebody that worked with him said that they always assumed that there was rumors that he did go to some hospital. This was a Reddit post. Let me read this for you guys. It's titled, I work with Rick Allen for 8 months at CVS. So to quickly disclaim, I'm not going to reveal anybody's name that did or still does work at that CVS location. What I can say is that I've been seeing a lot of speculation on really who he is. And if anybody knew anything about who he was, I did not personally interest myself in his outside life, but I did work with Richard Allen at CVS from July 2020 to April of 2021. I officially do not work at CVS anymore, and as others have stated, they were told to reply no comment. In response to any questions related to him, to clarify as well, Rick's official title was shift supervisor. He did have his license, but was only really a backup technician if needed. He was mostly either the shift leader or a shift support when he worked. So it sounds like he was like a break manager. No, when any of the managers or workers needed a break, in order to cover their roles, he would need to be qualified for that position, right? I was a shift supervisor during my time there, and I personally worked with him every time we had a truck for the week, if not 3 to 4 times a week. Rick was the first and unfortunately the most polite and cooperative person to work with. He did a great job hiding in plain sight, and it does shake me a bit that I was alone with him lots of shifts. But in my opinion, the only story I have ever heard about Rick's past at that time was that he was a recovering alcoholic and went to an institution sometime prior to me working there. He had worked at Walmart for a few years. Rick never pinged under anyone's radar. So let me read that again. That he was a recovering alcoholic, went to an institution sometime prior to me working. So, sometime prior to her working, I wonder if that was like around 2017. I'm still pretty shocked on how close I was to him considering that we just found out. I've seen this question a few times. I'm actually non binary, but I present very much as a guy, and there were only two other guys working during my time. One will stay unnamed, and the other was Richard Allen. I wonder who that other guy was. I'd like to hear from that person. Hey, other guy, shoot me an email. So, yeah, I guess there were rumors that he was institutionalized. Fox reported that law enforcement showed up to his home, and then I think they had a discussion. It was almost like one of those situations where we're going to press charges against you unless you do this. So I'm wondering if his wife was like, well, you need to go to the hospital. You need to get yourself fixed. You know, you're completely out of your mind. You need to do this or else. So maybe there was an ultimatum. CJ says if he were out on bail tomorrow, you'd see a change in him with a snap. Or the day he's convicted, he'll just wipe it right off his face. C says the prosecution believes there are others involved, willing to bet no one else gets charged. If KK is involved, he must be more savvy than people believe to have hid his communication trail with Richard Allen. Well, I have a feeling that KK was just along for the ride. We know that somebody else was using his devices, right? We know who that somebody is. If there's any connection, that's going to make him suspect number one in my book. But right now, there's just no connection other than them going to school together. That face he makes there in the car when his wife startled him, that's his court face. Hey, Death Valley Tiger. Good to see you. He knows what they have on him. Therefore, it's the only card he has to play. Yeah, and I agree with that. If you're going to play it, you got to go all in, right? Got to go all in. If that's the only hand you got to play left, that means you got to put that mask on every time you come out in public, even inside his little jail cell. But I am curious to know who he confessed to. I'm also curious to know what the murder sheet, what documents are going to be released. There's always hope. Hello. I would be surprised if they offer him a deal. This is a death penalty. I don't think it is a death penalty case. Hey, Jessica. He's saner than we think. I'm not fooled. He knows what's up. Piece of shit. Yeah, that could be very, very true. Yeah, we heard. This is a good point, CJ. We heard that he eats and then doesn't eat. Yeah, which is it? You on Strunger hike or you not? Oh, I just eat when I get really, really hungry. You know, because I mean, people could survive forever on very little. I believe more were involved. This was a group effort that went wrong, so others may be going to trial with him. I think so. Hey, what's up, Ruckus? Always good to see you, my friend. I still don't think he was alone. I don't think so either. Rick Allen seems to be a deep thinker. Tobe, not so much. I don't know enough about either one of them to make that determination. When the judge releases unsealed documents next week, I wonder what it will contain. Yeah, I'm very curious. That's why I was watching the murder sheet. Maybe they'll give us some more information about that in their next podcast. The one today was really short, and it was just basically a recap of everything that went on yesterday, information that we already had. But it seemed like they were unaware of where these confessions from Richard Allen were taking place. In the article, it says that they discussed it in court, but that doesn't mean that they discussed it publicly. And I didn't hear anybody that was there. Who do we have? You had Frank Meister that was there, Thomas Frost, Noe, all these people that were in the actual courtroom to witness what was said in there. Nobody mentioned that the confessions happened over his iPad or whatever, his tablet. It's the first time I read it this morning. And they didn't, Murder Sheet didn't mention it on their podcast. Unless I missed it. They spent like the last 5 minutes speculating on where it might have come from. Michelle says the fact that he locates the camera from the second he walks in, then stares straight off into zombie glaze mode makes me sway towards as an act. Yeah, that's also the way I feel. I feel like he says to himself, okay, it's showtime. Miss Mala says if they can show premeditation or any evidence of a cover up after the fact, he cannot be considered insane at the time of the crime. And that's going to be a hell of a task trying to prove that he was out of his mind at that time. And recently, I think it was Fig Solves posted something on his community page talking about that was most likely why McClellan was trying to get his records from CVS to see if there was any talk about any medical issues, any mental evaluations, anything like that. So I'm wondering if this him being institutionalized, I wonder when that took place. Mike, what's up? This guy was living just fine after the murders. F his little act. Yeah, joining pool tournaments, going on vacations, giving his daughter away. Who's going to give Abby and Libby away? You motherfucker. Sorry about that. Can you all see my answers about professionals at the hospitals for the criminally insane? Your answers? I heard they won't give a death penalty to people that aren't mentally or physically okay. Well, I think it's more about his charges. Like, they don't have him charged with him actually committing the physical act. They're basically saying, we don't know that part, but we know what we can charge you with. We know that if it wasn't for what you did on that bridge and the whole kidnapping thing, these people would still be alive. They're going to, and I think it would be easy to prove that. That's the easier charge. And I don't know if you can attach the death penalty to that type of charge with the aggravating factor. Hey, Derek, good to see you. Man, you need to deliver some over here. I got to make a dispensary run. Completely out of homegrown. Man, I had so much and it's gone. Miss Persevere says there's a difference in comparison for Richard Allen and in ones who believe in due process and rights up until the day the court determines his guilt. Right now, I'm terrified at both. Yeah, and it does happen. People get off. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 trials they got to go to before they're convicted, and sometimes they're not convicted, and sometimes they are proven to be the wrong person. There's been times where they've had more evidence against somebody than what they have for Richard Allen, and they think it's a slam dunk. The guy's been in prison, waiting for trial for almost a year, just like Richard Allen, and body was found on their property. There's DNA. There's all this stuff, but come to find out, there's an airtight alibi. Like the person's on camera, he's nowhere near the crime scene at the time, and you're just like, how is that possible? And it kind of reminds me of how that bullet got there. But thanks to Richard Allen, we know that nobody had access to his weapon. Okay, I think we're going to close it out today with what the defense might. This is what they're going to do, I think. Let's start with snelllaw.com. This little part of their website was called Confessions Under Duress. I think I have 2 of these, and I think this will start the conversation for why they might get these admissions thrown out. Yeah, we see you, Stefan. Miss Persevere says, I don't see Stefan. I don't know. Jinx hasn't been spending a whole lot of time here. Not enough conspiracy, I don't think. Teresa says, I think TK went to school with Richard Allen's wife and Richard Allen. According to records. I don't know for sure. But if you go ahead and pull up the records, it has them both going to North Miami. It doesn't have Tony at North Miami, but it has Richard Allen and Kathy Walker at Peru High School and North Miami. Looks like Kathy may have graduated there, but went to Peru the first couple of years of high school. This is for Ruckus Rocks from CJK. What's keeping authorities from moving his to state psych ward? And in your professional opinion, that a good idea? Is that a good idea or not? What's up, Frank? Good to see you, buddy. Mike Essery says, yes, Teresa, TK and Richard Allen, I believe, were 2 years apart. Yep. I think Richard Allen graduated in 91 and TK graduated in 89. My important comments are not showing. Are they too long? Are you including links? Yeah, that's weird. Maybe split them in half. Steph, if you want to show me, send me an email, you can. I'll take a look. Miss Mala says, I wonder if it's true that he confessed to his wife. Well, apparently it was done on whoever he was communicating with on his tablet. That's who he was confessing to. But there are a couple things that alarm me, and let's go ahead and take a look now. When a person provides a confession while under duress, this means that the individual was forced or coerced into confessing to a crime. Centuries ago, torture was considered an acceptable way of getting a confession out of someone. While that is seen as unacceptable today, there are still many situations in which investigators try to coerce suspects into providing a confession. This is usually done through overly aggressive interrogation tactics to make the detained suspect feel that he or she has no other choice but to confess to a crime, whether or not he or she actually committed the offense. Confessions under duress. Because this is considered a violation of our civil rights, coerced confessions or confessions made under duress are usually considered inadmissible as evidence in criminal cases. If it is proven that a confession was coerced, the defendant will typically be able to get his or her criminal charges dismissed. Here are a few examples of the many ways that confessions can be obtained through duress: excessively long periods of interrogation without breaks, depriving the suspect of sleep, food, or water until a confession is provided, threats of violence against the suspect if no confession is made, actual violence carried out against the suspect for lack of a confession, other threats of harmful action to be taken against the suspect or his or her loved ones. Under circumstances like these, the individual being interrogated may say anything in order to put a stop to the abuses that are occurring or to prevent harmful action that is being threatened. So now we know why the defense is doing what they're doing, right? Let me pull up that image that they released a while back. So now we know why they released this image and why Richard Allen is walking around like a sad sack and why he's on hunger strike so that it could appear, so he can appear under duress. Just hit the replay. Bossy says, I hope he gets sent to Westfield when it's all over, though. Right? Spend the rest of his life there. Danielle says, I think the reporter is mistaken. Didn't McClellan say he confessed 5 to 6 times to multiple people? I don't know. RMB, what's up? Richard Allen is trying everything to save his own life. Sympathy and poor mental health, maybe the only two things that keeps Richard Allen from the death penalty. Yeah, and this could be something like some kind of conflict between his defense and him. They could be yelling at him like, hey, let us do our job. Follow our instructions. Let us advise you. You know, this is what you need to do if you want to be free. And at this point, he could just be like, man, I'm tired. I'm done. You know, it's over. I want to hold on to the one small piece of self-respect I might be able to grasp onto by being cooperative, by showing remorse, by providing the answers that nobody has, specifically the families who are tormented by this case daily. He has one last stand to make if he's a guilty man, and that's to provide all the answers. You know, what about his grandchildren? You know, what about there may be a chance for them to come visit him at some point or write him a letter. But if he's going to get convicted of murder and he's not showing any remorse or any compassion for his victims, he's going to lose everything. Hold on to the small piece of humanity that you have left, man. They shouldn't have him in solitary. Matthew, what's up? He says, I think the whole conservation officer tip was all fake. KK gave him up. I think that's possible, but it doesn't have to be KK. That story could be there to protect. It could be a half truth, right? But I think you're right. A lot of times, law enforcement will just freestyle or kind of wing it, because they know they're allowed to give fake information here and there, and they may be protecting a witness. Steffa says Richard Allen cannot fake mental incompetency to forensic professionals at hospital for criminally insane. I just had 2 professionals explain on my channel. Yeah, the Hillside Strangler. They had all these professionals come in, and they did verify that he was in fact had multiple personalities, but investigators didn't believe him. But once the professionals came in, then they knew that they could hypnotize him and they could sit down and try to talk with his other personality and try to get information. It was like Ken and Steve or something weird like that. Be talking to Ken, and Ken is like, I don't know, man. Like, I black out sometimes. So honestly, I really don't know. Then all of a sudden, the Steve character would pop up. He would throw his feet up on the desk. He'd be real cocky. He would ask law enforcement for cigarettes. He would curse. He would say the F word a lot. F this, F that. Yeah, very strange. Good point, Ruckus. 225 in chat. I'm showing 300 right now, 301. So if you guys could hit the like button, that is a really good way to support the channel. His weight did vacillate over time, vacillate over time before he was arrested. Said the same thing, vacillate. This is a good word. Why 5 to 6 times? Why not the exact number? It's a good point, T-Bone. Which is it, brah? Is it 5 or 6? Marble says, is it still true that the wife doesn't have to testify against her husband in court? Yeah. That is true. Miss Persevere says, look, he went to police and they never followed up. Why would she question that? Stop blaming his wife. Not just a killer, but a killer of children. That's a good point. He's not just a killer. He's a child killer. That's the worst of the worst. Yeah, me too, Melissa. Steffa says the defense is not trying to use insanity plea. They are trying to make him look incompetent so he does not have to stand trial. Yeah, or they can get these admissions thrown out. Because they said that this has been going on over the past few months, and that's when this image came out. So there may be a chance that he made those admissions, and this was the response of his defense team. Like, okay, you made these, do you want to spend the rest of your life in prison? No. Well, then why did you do that? This is what we need to do now. And Richard Allen could even be playing his defense team. Like, they're torturing me. You got to get me out of here. Something like that. All right, I think we got time for one more. This is from Biederman and Burleson, Reasons for a False Confession. These guys are out of Texas, I believe. They're out of Tejas. Okay, 4 reasons someone may make a false confession. Firstly, false confession can result from coercion or duress. Police officers may use intimidation tactics or even threats to get a confession from a suspect. Sometimes the person being interrogated may feel they have no other option but to confess, even if they know they are innocent. They may feel overwhelmed, scared, and helpless, believing confessing will make the situation go away or alleviate their suffering. False confessions can also arise from psychological factors. Some individuals may be susceptible to suggestion or manipulation by authority figures. They may have low self esteem or confidence in their judgment, and as a result, they may agree with the interrogator's versions of events rather than their memory of what happened. In some cases, the interrogator may introduce false information or evidence that convinces the person that they committed the crime, even if they did not. Another issue that leads to a false confession is lack of knowledge about one's rights as a defendant. People may not fully understand their rights, the potential consequences of their actions, or the implications of a confession. They may believe that confessing will result in a lighter sentence or that they can explain their innocence later. However, once a confession is made, it can be difficult to retract and can have severe consequences for the person's future. Sometimes false confessions can occur due to mental health issues or cognitive impairments. People with mental health conditions such as anxiety, depression, or post traumatic stress disorder may be more susceptible to giving false confessions. Cognitive impairments such as learning disabilities or brain injuries can also affect a person's ability to understand the situation and make rational decisions. Thank you, Cindy. Don't be a scrub. Hit the like, leave comments after the stream. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Cindy. That was nice of you. All right, so we'll spend another 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll close it out. Hey, what's up, Dawn? Oh, that's awesome, man. Your first grandbaby. Congratulations. You must feel like $1,000,000 right now. Congrats, man. What's up, Arch? Yeah, that was a great show, Stefan. Kate says he's faking it. Well, I think a lot of it is that he knows he's guilty. He knows what's coming. He knows how awful this is for him and his family. And then it's easy for him to play on that and kind of spin it. I mean, I believe that he's under duress, but under his own duress. The duress of guilt. Hey, Slippy. Melissa says, I can't stand the guy was sitting next to Randy in the court, Jonathan Jonathan Riches. That's funny. Oh, wow. That's awesome, dude. Catsy Klein, what's up? He's probably depressed. I was depressed once I lost 45 pounds in 6 weeks. Lord knows if I were in jail, prison, I would be depressed again, still giving 0 Fs for this monster. Yeah, it's really not hard to lose a bunch of weight. I changed my diet and did a little bit of exercise and dropped like 40 pounds. And I feel like I could gain it all right back in like a day or two if I wanted to. So if they can get these admissions thrown out, get the ballistics thrown out, there's no case. That's it. What's up, Timmy? Looks to me he is carrying a ton of guilt. Yeah, I can see it in his face. It's that last shred of humanity the police talked about. I think he's done. Hopefully he's done hiding. Just let it out, man. Let it all out. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us today. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. Please hit the like button. It's the easiest way to support my channel. It does wonders for it. It presents it to more people. YouTube actually thinks it's a quality stream, even though it may not be. So if you guys could go ahead and do that for me, I'd appreciate it. If you're part of the replay crew, drop a comment. I'll get back to you. I do make an effort to respond to most of my comments if I can, or if I have a response for the comment. And subscribe, consider becoming a member. What's up, bud? Mary, you're ridiculous. Don't get blocked. I mean, I'll be happy to blame family if you got some proof, but otherwise, keep it shut. Before it even got started, constantly. And I wonder if Libby did not get that video, I wonder if he would have killed again. Like, if he's this killer, lone wolf, whatever, I wonder if that prevented more murders from happening. I say, guys. Bud says this will not go to trial. That reminds me, let's go ahead and take a look at the poll. Okay, so the poll question: will we see a jury trial, or will Richard Allen make a deal? 65% said he will make a deal. 35% say he will go to trial. There you go. Low-hanging fruit. That's what I was referring to. 2016, law enforcement went to his home at 3 a.m. for a domestic. It says his wife took him to a mental facility. That's on record. Yeah, I was referring to that earlier today. Yeah, Lisa, she looks cute. She looks like she's about to pop. I'm happy for her. Yeah, that's the one I found too, Miss Thing. I like that name, Temporarily Immortal. Welcome. All right, guys, that's it. That's all the time I have today. We may go live a little bit later today or tomorrow with the True Crime Call-In, so if you just want to hang out, shoot the shit, talk about random cases, let me know. Peace out.